It's election night in Texas, and we're interrupting our regularly scheduled programming to bring you an update at the polls. I'm Quita Culpepper, and Brian Mays and Ashley Godot are keeping an eye on some of the big races. We'll get to them in just a moment. But first, there's just 3 hours left to cast your vote in the midterm elections. KVUE's Jenny Lee is live at a polling location out in Travis County. And Jenny, how are things looking out there?
Well, where I'm at, we are near the ACC campus. Quita, I want to show you there's absolutely no line here at the City of Austin's Permitting and Development Center on Wilhelmina-Delco Drive, one of, as you mentioned, 67 polling locations in Travis County. You can see people walking out, a person walking out, but since we've been here, it has not been too busy, which is good news for you because you can come get off work early and cast your ballot here. You can also see a supporter talking to a potential voter as long as that supporter is 100 feet away, and she is, because the sign is just a few feet in front of her. She is absolutely okay. Just one of the things you need to know before you come out here. The staff at the Travis County Clerk's Office tells us it's been a steady, pretty busy here, steady as far as voter turnout. A good sign, especially since Travis County early voting numbers came in lower than the midterms in 2018. Around 37% of registered voters turned out for early voting, so roughly $327,000. As for today, more than 74,000 people have voted in Travis County as of 2 o'clock this afternoon. So before you come out, a couple of things you must know. You have to have an approved form of photo ID like a driver's license or a passport, and no electronics inside polling sites. Just turn it off or leave it in your car. You cannot use them at all. And we've also, Quita, gotten a lot of questions. KVUE's gotten a lot of questions from viewers. Do we need our voter registration cards in order to cast our ballots? And the answer is no, you do not need them. Just the approved form of photo ID is all you need. Many races on the ballot, as everybody knows. High interest in the state's top race, the governor's race. Also locally here in Austin, Austinites have to choose a new mayor. We've got 6 candidates for that. And if you have not done your research, don't worry. KVUE held a debate. Talk to all 6 of them. Just go to KVUE.com and listen to them and find out which one best is for you. A lot more candidates too. So for a sample ballot, wait times, this one doesn't have one, but we visited one that had a 51-minute wait time a couple of hours ago. So wait time, polling locations, all the info you need on sample ballots, just go to votetravis.org. Now the entire news team is covering election coverage for you and results for you. So stick with KVUE. We've got another update coming up in just a few minutes and full election coverage starting at 5 o'clock. Quita?
All right, thank you, Jenny. And several counties in Central Texas will be providing live streams of ballot counting tonight. You can see poll workers there in Travis County getting ready for a very busy night ahead. Williamson and Hayes counties are also going to be providing some live streams, and we've posted all of those live cameras for you on our website, KVUE.com. All right, let's toss it over to Ashley and Brian.
Thanks, Quita. We'll take it from here. Of course, the big matchup we're watching tonight is the race for Texas governor. So we have some data here we want to look at. Brian, if you want to get us going on the touch screen. Brian has the magic touch, not me. I can never get into it.
Because my fingers are sweatier, I think. But it's all good because it's going to be a big night tonight.
It is. You can see everything zeroed out right now as we are watching the entire state for that big matchup between incumbent Republican Governor Greg Abbott and Democratic challenger Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke really hoping to pull off a huge upset tonight. This would be the first time in nearly 30 years that a Democrat would win a statewide seat. So the odds not necessarily in his favor. Texas is red until it's not, and we're going to see if any of that changes tonight. But we want to take a moment to look at how things went in 2018 in the governor's race, just to remind you of some of that data when Governor Greg Abbott faced off against former Sheriff Lupe Valdez.
That's right. You could see the margin of victory, 1.1 million at that time. And these are some of the districts we're going to be watching tonight, Ashley, as I show what we can do here with our touch screen. Democratic areas along the border, of course, a lot of campaigning being done there. All this election cycle, you'll see some blue in the major metropolitan areas, which we're going to be be keeping an eye on again tonight. Ashley, as you know, the Houston area has already dealt with some voter issues today in Harris County. So we're going to keep an eye on all those border regions. You see a heavy red in the middle of the state, which is typically how it works for the race for governor in 2018. That was no different.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, do I think that the numbers are going to be closer this time around than they are? I do. I really actually think we're going to see a much tighter race. When you look at the heat, Brian, when we're starting to talk about the races and the demographics, when you turn the heat on to see, you know, for instance, just how close or how saturated areas are, you really start to see the difference here in where the Democratic strongholds are in Texas, and where there are some areas where if a Democrat is able to get their message out, they can have a real impact, particularly when you look in the Fort Worth area. You see those areas, those lighter red areas where Democrats may have a chance at flipping a seat. So that's obviously the big race that everyone is watching, that 2020 race between Beto O'Rourke and Governor Greg Abbott.
And something to keep in mind as well, this is what happened just 2 years ago. We saw early, as we were getting the early vote and the mail-in vote, Joe Biden had a really strong showing early in the state of Texas. Then, of course, at the end of the day, Donald Trump won the state with 52% of the vote. About 600,000 votes separated Trump from Biden 2 years ago in the race for president. Another something we're going to be watching is how the local districts, actually, let's zoom in and show kind of what we looked at in 2018 as far as the local districts go. You could see the difference with Travis County, Hayes County, Bexar County. Touch Williamson County, Ashland. Let's show how close that was between the two in the race for governor. 22,000 votes separated the two in Williamson County. So these local counties we're going to also be keeping an eye on as well, Ashley, as we go through the night tonight.
Yeah, and again, this is that look of what Beto O'Rourke, what he has that he's going to have to do. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Williamson County, especially, Brian, because we have Williamson County that, you know, 2018, after this race later that year, you had State Representative James Tallarico flip a seat blue in Williamson County. And so to really see what's going to happen in Williamson County, I think is going to be interesting. Also because of this number that you pointed out, 22,000 votes is not a lot of vote in the grand scheme of things, and the number of people who are registered to vote. That's not a big number, you know, so it's not undoable to see what will happen with that district. But it'll obviously be interesting to see what happens overall tonight as we are watching the big races. So you're definitely going to want to stick with KVUE for all of the races. Quita.
All right. Thank you, Brian and Ashley. And like Ashley said, stick with KVUE. We are your source for election night results. Our team is watching all of the big races, and you can watch our live coverage starting at 5 p.m. right here on KVUE, KVUE.com, and KVUE Plus.